Are you dreading Christmas? Not looking forward to all of the busyness and the hustle and bustle at all? Not to mention the overspending? Hi, I'm Paula. Great to see you back on this channel, and if you're new, welcome. This is a new channel, so please help me out and get us to a 1,000 subscribers. That's my goal for the next 6 months. So please subscribe and tick that bell down there so you can get updates. Please comment. I would love to hear your thoughts in what this video presents. And we're talking about these Christmas tips. These are 6 very simple tips so you can apply quite easily. So the first one is have realistic expectations. You know, we all get excited about celebrations, particularly if we haven't seen our family for a while, and we're catching up with friends, and we're going to really enjoy it, and we're looking forward to it, and we build it all up, and we think it's going to be great, it's going to be fantastic. You know, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? The thing is, things do go wrong. No matter how well intentioned we are, things do go wrong, and that's the Murphy's Law, isn't it? If what's going to go wrong will. And so we need to have realistic expectations. Prepare for something that just might go wrong. Don't put all your eggs into one basket and have this really high view and exciting, and then when something just may go wrong, I'm not saying it will, but it just may go wrong, you're going to be so disappointed and so frustrated, and it's really going to mess up your day, and it's just really might put you in a bit of a mood, and you're not going to be enjoying your family and friends like you really deserve to. So that's the tip number 1, is have realistic expectations. Don't expect to have things to go wrong, but just prepare just in case something does. And that brings me to tip number 2. Have a backup plan. Yes, plan B is always helpful. You want your day or your week or however you celebrate the Christmas season, you want it to go smoothly, don't you? You want to have as least stress as you possibly can. And so if something does go wrong, what are you going to do? What are you going to do next? Well, it's wise to have a backup plan just in case. We've seen the movies on TV that at Christmas time everything goes wrong, and the turkey or whatever you have gets spoiled, it burns, and just things just go wrong, and the desserts flop, and you know, my dog is barking. I'm sorry about that. And you've seen those movies, haven't you, where everything goes wrong, and we laugh and we think it's so funny, but when it happens to you, it's really not so funny at all, is it? So it's wise to have a backup plan. For example, what I've done in the past is, you know, you have your main meal, and you want to cook it fresh, and you just want it just out of the oven. But what I do, in case something goes wrong, I pre-cook a joint of meat, or I have something that it's vegetarian option as a second backup, and I put it in the freezer in case something happens, and then I can whip that out of the freezer, defrost it, heat it up, and there you go, you know, problem solved. Especially I've had Christmas dinner and somebody's knocked on the door to come and visit, and you invite them for a meal, and you found, oh well, you know, I haven't got enough food, so you want them to eat with you, so it's great to have something in the freezer that you can just pull out at the last minute, and so you can continue to enjoy. And same goes with the desserts as well. You know, nothing worse than a dessert flopping. Have one that's freezable, bring it out if you need to. So that's tip number 2, have a backup plan. Tip number 3, you know, we can't avoid all disasters. You know, life happens, and as I said in tip number 1, you know, life happens, and we can't expect a perfect day because it's not going to be perfect. You know, we're people. Things go wrong, and especially when you're dealing with a crowd of people that might be visiting you, things do go wrong. So if we plan ahead best that we can, we may be able to avoid some disasters that we would encounter if we didn't plan. So, you know, I'm a big planner, and I make lists, and I'll show you in the next video on how I actually use my planners, and I also use digital planners, and I write everything down, and I look at what I need to do, how much food I need, etc., etc., what I have to do, when I have to prepare, set the table, to make phone calls, you know, to ensure that people are going to come, put beds up if people are staying over. So that's what I do. I plan ahead, and whenever I can, I actually do things the day before. So I've written everything down, I know what I have to do, and now I actually put that into action. And so I cook what I can the day before. You know, you don't want a meal to taste insipid and sort of warmed up, but there's a lot of things that can be cooked the day before that are just great. For instance, you can cook your meat to almost done, and then take it out of the fridge on the Christmas day, let it come to room temperature, put a gentle heat under it. And you know, I've done that, and people just don't know the difference that most of it has been cooked the day before. So you take it to almost up to the cooking time, and then you can use it for the next day. That and all your greasy pots and pans are already dealt with the day before, and it gives you a little bit of more time. If people are staying over, put your beds up and do everything the day before. Set your table the day before. Put out your crockery, the glasses, because you know, you might just do it, set the table an hour before people come, and then you find out you've broken a glass, or you're a plate short or something. If you do things at least the day before, at least you have got time to remedy the situation if you plan ahead. So that's tip number 3, plan ahead. Number 4, avoid debt and overspending. You know, this is a really important one. Nothing worse. They're getting into the new year and finding that you have to pay off bills that you've incurred over Christmas. You don't want to do that at all. You want to be saving up all year and putting money aside for gifts, for extra food, and perhaps extra outings and all those things that you need to spend money on over the Christmas season. So make sure you don't get yourself into debt. You know, people, hundreds of thousands of people every year get themselves into debt, and it's really not worth it. And I know that, you know, if you have children, they pressure you for the latest electronic game or the latest designer clothing and things like that. But children need to understand that money doesn't grow on trees. And they need to understand that saving money and budgeting and planning ahead for the spending, which is budgeting, is really, really important. So this is the time that you can teach your children to budget for your expenditure over Christmas, and you can make it a family thing. If your children are at least 5 years old, and perhaps for some kids might understand a little bit younger, but about 5 years old, sit them down at the table, have your budget sheet, or just write something on a piece of paper and just say, well, this is how much money we need to spend to do A, B, C, and D, and this is how we're going to get that money. And set up a savings plan that the children can contribute to, so they know they have a sense of responsibility towards their happiness and fulfillment at Christmas time. There's nothing worse of children growing up thinking, it's the endless bank of mum and dad. And I know people who have children into their 40s that still fork out money for their children because they've never taught their children how to budget and take responsibility for their own life. And people call it tough love. And because I remember when my children were growing up, one of my kids says, well, none of my friends have to earn pocket money. And I said, I want to teach you a responsibility about life, how you need to provide for yourself and how to handle money, and what better way is to have your own money. And at Christmas time, to overspend and to get into debt it's just really not worth it. Because if you put things on your credit card, you're going to be paying probably forever the interest on what you have borrowed, because if you could afford the amount cash, you wouldn't have had to put on your credit card. So you can't pay off your credit card straight away unless you're going to have a windfall or something's going to happen and you're going to pay it off within the next month before the bill comes in, before you incur those interest rates. But just remember that if you put something on your credit card, you're going to be paying something like 25% more, and for some credit cards it's up to 60% more, depending on your credit card lender, and that's huge. And I want to say to you, is it worth it? Is having the latest electronic gadgetry, or the latest clothes, or the finest dining worth you getting into debt and paying almost double to what the thing was worth? Tip number 4, don't get into debt and don't overspend, budget. Tip number 5, and this is a really important one for your mental health and indeed for your bodily health. If you're going to have a house full of people that aren't usually there and everything's hustle and bustle and you just feel absolutely worn out, you need to say, excuse me, I'm going to go for a walk for 10 minutes, or I'm just going to have a lie down, or I'm just going to put my feet up and watch telly for a little while, or I'm just going to read a book for an hour. Whatever relaxes you and gives you that moment, that breather that you desperately need, take time out. Because the fact is that the highest rates that people actually take their life, they get divorced, domestic violence is greater over the Christmas and the New Year season, is because of all of the tension and the hopelessness and everything, all the false expectations. So taking time out is really, really important for you. Not only for you, for those who are around you, especially if there's tension in the house. If you are rested, you're more likely to be able to diffuse that tension. So that's tip number 5, take time out. And this is the last tip, number 6, enjoy yourself. That goes without saying, but enjoy yourself. You may be the host or the hostess of the party, you may be the main person who is doing the cooking and the cleaning. You may be the main person who's doing the entertaining. I know in times past I've done all of that, and I've tried to arrange things to the point where I actually can enjoy myself. There's nothing worse than a Christmas season, a New Year's season going, oh, I'm glad they're gone. That's terrible, because that's defeating why you're gathering together. You're gathering together because you want to spend time together, and it's especially after this COVID pandemic, and that is a rare thing. So you want them to be able to leave and say, and have the attitude, well, thank you for coming. I really enjoyed your company. And so you need to enjoy that. And take all these 6 tips to heart, write them down, expand them, make them your own, so you can have a great Christmas and stay sane in the process. Well, that's the 6 tips, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please comment and let me know what you do to keep sane over the Christmas, and tick that bell to get updates, and please share if you feel that this video is of some value and it'll help somebody else.